Hey friends, I wanted to talk to you about how Dan and I kind of got started with RVing and how we decided now was the right time to start RVing and live out our dreams. Hi, I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Dan.
And this is Our Life in Tow. We're hitching up and hitting the road as two first-time RVers who stopped saying someday and started living life a little more free, chasing our dreams. Follow along as we pack up our lives and our doodles in our Airstream and set out on new adventures. We're learning as we go, exploring national parks, discovering new places, and sharing the honest, unfiltered journey of what it's really like to live the dream. Whether you're dreaming of hitting the road or already on it, we're glad you're here. Thanks for following and welcome to our channel.
Goal of this entire channel and why we're starting it is to hopefully inspire others that they can start living their own dreams and that it doesn't have to be all planned out. Very much ours was not all planned out, and we're still making it up as we go. So basically how we kind of decided was we were actually both in startup companies feeling very much burnt out, overworking ourselves. That's kind of both intrinsic to us. We just like to work hard in nature and throw a lot into what we do. Needless to say, it's not always fueled by passion, and that's kind of what we were feeling. We weren't feeling as passionate about where we were. There was some other circumstances that kind of changed things for us, and we kind of had to think on our feet. So we just kind of took a look at how we were living and all the dreams that we were talking about living. We also looked at kind of our friends and family and thought even for the future, if we wanted a family of our own, kids-wise, we have a family with our doodles. But if we eventually wanted to move on to that step, we didn't want to look back and be like, oh, we never traveled to all those places and parks that we wanted to see. So we didn't want regret to be our narrative. So basically when we took a look at that, we were just kind of like, well, why can't we? We make all these excuses that we can't do it now. And it was just kind of like, well, let's figure out how to do it now then. So the way that we kind of went about it was I actually ended up quitting my job, and Dan left his as well for a different job. We both kind of were angling our career to go in the trajectory of fully working remote. So Dan from a sales, rev operations perspective, and has been working remote for 5 years. And then for me, I was working in clinical trials and clinical research, and there is a niche there that can be remote to an extent. But both of us weren't really happy, so we kind of changed that. So I fully quit and decided to focus my energy on actually Airbnb-ing our house. So we went and we looked at a bunch of different RVs, mainly Airstreams, because partially why we made this channel is we're big YouTubers. So we saw Airstreams and we're always like, oh man, that's a dream. And as far as high quality goes, as far as aesthetic goes, and these things are like timeless. So there's kind of a statistic that 70% of all Airstreams ever made are still on the road. And you see that time and time again. So we were like, we'll definitely do Airstream. So we went to an Airstream dealer in Colorado, which is where our house is. And we fell in love with a used 2023 20 FB Caravel. And for those of you who don't know, when it says 20 and FB, it basically means 20 feet, actually 21 with the hitch, and the propane tanks and all that. And then FB means front bed. So you'll find some models with like a corner bed, rear bed, twins, queens, all these different models. But that was the one that kind of stuck out to us. And we were like, oh, we can afford that with financing and all of that. So we pulled the trigger, and this was before everything was kind of like ironed out and we were for sure gonna Airbnb our house. And so we got the Airstream and we did our first trip to Moab, as you saw from our first video. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. But we decided from that point on, after that trip, we were like, oh yeah, this is it. We're so happy doing this. We could definitely make this our lifestyle, and we're gonna make it happen. The weeks following purchasing our Airstream were just filled and riddled with research, buying stuff, and just watching a ton of YouTube and learning from it. Again, that's kind of why we did this channel. We figured we could just vlog what we've done, what we've learned, and hopefully in some way help someone else or inspire someone else. But as far as like kind of the advice that they give is don't buy everything at once. And I do agree with that. We might have gone a little crazy, but I'm gonna be honest, I feel like we've used every bit that we've bought. Stay tuned, we'll be posting another video kind of on what we did buy and what we use and what are our favorite things. But I will say there is a bit of upfront costs with that. So when you do buy an RV, just know like there are a few like necessities that you need to get. Like most of them come with a power plug, but you'll need to get hoses, you'll need to get filters for the fresh water, you'll get a bunch of like little gadgets for it too, like an L connector, a backflow preventer, and then you'll get like the hoses for your dump tank. I'll do a video on that as well. Dan kind of handles that because I'm like, ew, but you know, it's a necessity. And then you'll need just a few other little things. For us, we did already have some like camping gear and whatnot and tools, so that helped us out quite a bit. So if you're making a transition from like camping or rooftop tent camping, there might be some things that you can reuse and carry over, but for the most part, like you can just like get up and go after the few necessities, and I highly recommend it. So one of the things is also why RVing, because there's other means. So for Dan and I, we've previously also done rooftop tent camping. We had a truck, a ZR2, Colorado, and we used to do rooftop tent camping with that. For us, kind of the biggest draw and what our life kind of is centered around is our dogs. So with rooftop tent camping, as much as we love camping and the glamour, kind of the glamping method of kind of camping, it just isn't sustainable for long periods of time. I think other people could definitely do much longer, have full setups or pop-up tent campers and stuff like that. But for us, for our dogs, one of the biggest selling points was fans and AC. So when we thought about it, we were like, oh, well, if we can have everything that we need to kind of like live like almost a tiny home on wheels, then I think like our dogs would be happy, and to know they're safe and in a temperature controlled unit is really like a big driver for us. So that is kind of why we steered towards RV. Another thing that we didn't put a lot of thought into before we purchased our Airstream that we're actually really grateful for is the detachability, and I'm not sure if that's a word, but basically what that means is that it's a travel trailer, so it has the ability to be detached from our truck or car, and we get to go places and leave our trailer all set up. And so I know that there's kind of a lot of hype around getting maybe travel vans or larger RVs that are drivable, or fifth wheels, but I think what ended up being really nice for us is that once we get set up at a camp, let's say we're staying for a few days or up to a week. We can go in and out as we please if we detach our trailer from the hitch once, and we're just good to go, and we don't have to deal with the whole setup and pack up and unpacking it again. So that's something that just was really great. And then another plus for us for not doing the travel vans, which are really popular, is kind of the height and width of a travel trailer. So we get a lot more space over a van being in a travel trailer that's separate from your car. Not only that, but also more storage. Vans, I'm sure you're pretty limited on the storage, not to say that some travel trailers have more storage than others, but I do think that's something people should consider when they're looking at what they're going to be traveling in. So highly recommend, for us at least, what we found was we prefer the travel trailers versus maybe a van type traveling. On top of that, like Airstream's super kind of luxury living, so it wasn't like we were kind of downgrading anything from living in a full-blown house. It was just changing it up a little. And so for our dogs as well, like they love it. Like, let me tell you, our one dog, Lincoln, he is kind of like a prima donna. He really just did not like rooftop tent camping. He would cry. But in our Airstream, he has never loved anything more. And I tell you what, like, RVing really gets the dogs outside. So we visit dog parks, we visit big off-leash dog areas, we hike a lot more, we're just outside a lot more. We have a FXW dog fence, so like that hooks up to our door outside of our Airstream, and that just lets them be outside with us when we're outside, like cooking or just hanging out by a fire pit. It's like a little enclosed gate thing, so it really was the most sustainable for that. And then the other reason is price. So when you think about like a home and like a mortgage, and especially like our home and our mortgage, and even nowadays, I think the other intrigue there, especially if we get an Airbnb or house, is the monthly prices. So like kind of full disclosure, for like after our financing and everything we were able to negotiate, for our Airstream, we pay about $500 a month. And then obviously there's insurance and some other upfront costs for things. But once you kind of get past that, so it's $500 a month, so it's almost like a really nice car payment. And then as far as other things, the insurance obviously, and then you're paying for gas. Gas, don't forget about that in your budget. Gas can be a lot, and I'll get into that in a bit on cars, because we have a Toyota Land Cruiser, and the car you tow with does matter. But to start out with, if your car can tow, your car can tow. But your gas mileage will go down. So for that as well, like all that pricing, and then when you're staying at parks and at campgrounds, RV parks, it's like 50 to 100. If you're at a really nice one with a lot of amenities, it's like 120 a night. And if you think about that, that's like your water, your electric, your gas, that's everything in like bundled into that price. So that's really enticing. There's also discounts a lot of times if you stay 7 days. And then there's also month-long rates you can negotiate. I know at some parks, people that stay even longer can even offer to do like work at the campground to get some discount or even get their spot for free. But then there's boondocking. So boondocking is when you're using your battery power. So for that, you can just stay without hookups places. You don't have any hookups or services. It's typically on BLM land or on national forest property. There's also some national forest roads, as well as some state and county parks that do allow, or with the approval of like a landowner. So those are means where you can literally just drive up. It's typically down like dirt roads and whatnot, and you stay for free. You don't need to pay for anything. Just pull your trailer in, no hookups, like free. It's free. Obviously carry out what you bring in, and be respectful to the land, but overall you can save so much money by utilizing different boondocking spots, and you can use just about everything. Obviously you'll need to have your travel trailer or Airstream all powered up. For ours, we have a 20-watt solar panels on our roof that actually charge our lithium batteries, and then with our full power, we can last about, we think, 3 to 4 days. We're still kind of testing this for boondocking, but as far as that, you can use just about everything with the exception of your AC unit, your microwave. You could use it, I think, but it might just use too much power. And then there's a few outlets that you can't use with your inverter. So there's an inverter that gets that's hardwired into your Airstream or other travel trailers, and when you turn that on, you can use power through inverter outlets. Our GCFI outlets, which are typically outlets that you'll find by like your water source, so like your sinks and stuff, at least for the Airstream model, and for certain power inversions, you can't use those. When we use our inverter, we only use it when we need to. We also have a jackery for other plugins, basically a power bank. Not ad sponsored, we just bought it because we watched a bunch of videos and reviews and thought it was a great thing to have. But basically, the main point of this is there's ways and means you can stay on land for free. So you can use just about anything from your fan, your furnace, your lights, your fridge, your shower. So you have like a water pump, so that's when you would use your water pump for your freshwater tank, and it's a pretty great option. And then the other ones you can do are like hip camp. Can be really cheap. You can find a spot to boondock. You can even find our RV parks at a discount through hip camp. Again, not ad sponsors, just because we like it. Harvest Host. We've done Harvest Host. We love Harvest Host. Caveat is it's typically kind of meant for like a one-nighter, but I tell you what, we went on a road trip across the country and we harvest hosted basically the entire way, and it was lovely. We basically, because when you get there, you just kind of donate what you can, or you buy something from their place, and we've been kind of angling ourselves to go to wineries, breweries. We've been staying at supper halls. We stayed at a supper hall in Michigan City, really nice. And you stay there and you have a meal, you have a beer, you have an appetizer, you buy a shirt, you buy a blanket, you just give them $25. That's typically like the average is what they recommend, is like $25 to $30. You pay like a annual membership, but like I tell you what, we've stayed, I think at 6 or 7 now, and that membership has probably paid for itself. Again, not ad sponsored, just because we are like really enjoying it and I want to share that with you. So the cost of everything really boils down to less than maybe what rent or a mortgage could be. And you get to go to like the most beautiful places. So the freedom of it feels like invigorating and incredible. So I can't recommend that enough. These are now our whys and like our motivators behind why we have kind of fully decided we're gonna do this full time. Because we had first started, we can just go on like long trips and everything, but now it's like, no, we're gonna make this our entire life because we love it. And you know, there's a community out there too. So we're meeting people, and RV people at parks, so nice. So nice. They just want to share their knowledge, be your friend. They're all doing the same thing because they love to do it. They love to be outside. They love to talk. We met some people in Wyoming. They talked to us for 2.5 hours, gave us tons of tips. I'll share them in other videos, but tons of tips. And then one this week gave us a grill for free. They were like, we don't use it. We've never used it. Our kids don't want it. Do you want it? And it's a really nice grill. So I think there's a community here. There's the money kind of makes sense, and then the experiences. I think those are the real main three. If you liked what you saw, please hit that like button below and subscribe to our channel. We'll be bringing you more content like this. Again, the kind of goal of this channel is to inspire other people who might be RV newbies or want to be, or just want to get out there and travel. We'll be sharing all of our learnings and tips, as well as some itineraries for places that we visit, and obviously dog-friendly content. If you have anything you want to see, comment below, and I hope you all have fun on your travels.